Welcome back to Mac's Garage. As always, if you like what you see, hit the like, share, subscribe, ring the bell, all that stuff. It helps me out. I appreciate that. This is a 1965 Ford 352 FE Series engine, and this will be part one of the teardown and reassembly, and we'll assess what we actually need as we go. So I really don't know, getting into this today, what we're going to have. I'm in kind of a clean-ish back room of my shop, and that's an important part to building engines. Like, you don't want to be out in the general shop where there is a ton of dust and dirt and grime flying everywhere every day. So as I get into this, I have a door I can close, and this area back here will stay reasonably clean. Realistically, it would be nice if I had like a clean assembly room. I don't really have that, but I do have this area back here. So that's what we're going to do. Now, today in this video, I'm going to start taking off all the auxiliary parts of the engine. I've already drained the oil, and now I'm going to grab the camera because this is a pretty important part. So you are watching this on I'm assuming probably a cell phone, maybe a computer, but chances are you have the ability to make this video yourself. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to kind of slowly walk around this engine. It's going to help me when I go to reassemble this in who knows how long, because it will probably have to go to the machine shop. But what I'm looking at is, like, we've got a condenser underneath this bolt. It's actually on the top part, but it's there. We've also got a bracket here for the throttle return linkage. The general orientation of our distributor, that's a good one to know. This whole situation down here with double sensors on the oil pressure, not entirely sure if that's factory or not, but we're going to need to know that's like that. Let's see, what else? Pointer location. That'd be a good one. I don't know that it necessarily comes off of there, but you want to know where that's at. Exhaust manifolds. These should be fairly easy to figure out, but you never know. The engine mounts, those tend to be an issue on some vehicles. I don't really think they're going to be on this one, but we've got our stud to the forward side of center. On this would be the passenger side of the block. Ooh, here's a good one. Right down here we've got our pivot point for our clutch mounted. So that bolts in. Oops, let me get it back in front frame here. Pivot point for the clutch. We got bolts there and there, so this will come off. That will be off of there when we go to the machine shop with it. The manifold on this side, again, probably pretty straightforward. And the motor mount for this side is also slightly forward of center. So now we know where that goes. Other than that, I think that's probably about it. I should have taken the oil filter off when I had the drain pan in here, but I didn't. So here we are. And maybe the valve covers too. You want to make sure you get those back in the right place. This will all be prettied up and painted this lovely shade of gold again. But there we are. After we've done that, we're now ready to kind of start taking this apart. And again, you probably have a device in your pocket right now, or you're watching this on that device, that will allow you to make the same kind of video. Maybe a little bit of tip for you would be to take that and email it to yourself, because phones get broken and lost every once in a while. I'm going to make a YouTube video, and it will be up there for everyone to see, including myself. So that'll be easy for me to find, but make sure you do this in a way that you can get back to it. Now I'm going to start tearing this thing apart, and realistically the initial steps here, you can be a little bit all over the place. I'm going to start with the front drive, so I'll pull this water pump off, and then we'll probably take just like the distributor, the coil, oil filter, probably fuel pump, all your accessories off, The accessories are off, I guess, or at least your standard term for them. Exhaust manifolds, and then we'll start to get into the actual engine itself. I have also already kind of cleaned this off. Like, this thing there's not dirt that's going to fall down inside of it as I start taking it apart. So it's pretty good to go on that aspect. So I'm going to move the camera over to the other side there. I'll try to get this. Actually, I don't know where I'm going to set the camera up yet, but I'll get the camera in a spot where I can kind of work, and hopefully it'll catch what's going on. And yeah, that'll be fun. This seems like about as good a place to stop this first video as any. I've got the valve covers off, most of our auxiliary stuff except for the oil filter, but we can kind of wait on that. I'll probably take the heads and stuff off before we take that off the engine. And now I've got something else to introduce you to, and that is bag and tag. So I have this stuff all kind of laid out with what it came off of. Now, as you go through here, keep in mind that if you need machine work on this block, it could be a couple of months before you put it back together. Or, if you're like me, take things apart, get them machined, and then sell the project that they were supposed to go to, it may be years before you put them back together. You can probably see that Mopar box underneath the desk. Maybe not, but it was in a different frame. That goes to a truck that I sold. So that engine has never been put together. It's been machined for probably 3 or 4 years at this point. And I may need to know how to put it back together just by my notes. So that's where we'll go through, or I will go through. I'm not probably going to do this on the camera, but I'll write things down like exhaust manifold 2-head bolts, and I'll put all of the bolts from, and I may even separate it off with right hand, left hand. When you're looking at an engine or any other part of a car, left and right hand are always as you sit in the driver's seat. So although I'm standing here right now in front of the engine, which I'm not even sure if is really in camera or not, the right hand would be the driver's side, but that's not correct for car terminology. You want to do that as sitting in the driver's seat. So the driver's side, at least in America and a vast majority of the world, is on the left hand side. So the driver's side is the left. The passenger side is the right. So I'm going to go through, bag and tag this stuff. I am learning things about this engine as we go through here. Let me grab the camera and I'll see if I can show you. Okay, one of the cool things that Ford does is they actually kind of put the year of the part in the casting number. So with any cast part, you're going to have, well, if it's a Ford one, it's got this Ford symbol on it, but another one is the casting number. Now, I'm not sure how well this is going to really show up, but the first 2 digits in Ford casting numbers signify the year. So the C here designates that it is a 1960s part number, and the 9 is the digit of the year. So C9 is 69. Now this is a 1965 truck and a 1965 engine. Why does it have a C9 casting number on it? Well, because this water pump's been changed. So this is on the water pump. Pretty common to have something like a water pump changed on an engine. So that's C969. Now, you've got to be kind of careful with that too, because that tells you when the casting was made, not necessarily when the part was made. So let's say Ford made this casting and used it for 5 years. You might have this C9 casting number on something that was manufactured and put into production in well, whenever they decided to change it. So it's at least this new. So it could be anything newer than that, but it's at least a 1969. Now with their passenger car stuff, I think this tends to be relatively close to when it's actually used. You get into the tractors, which Ford tractors are the same way. Actually, my most popular video as of right now making this is on a 73 Ford 3000 tractor. There are parts that I'm fairly confident are original to that tractor that carry a C5 casting, which would be 65, and they were still using it in 1973 on that tractor. That happens, but you'll never have a C9 on a 65. So there's one piece. This one is a D0. D is 70s. So that digit is, that first digit corresponds to the decade. D is 1970s. So this started, as far as I am aware, in the 40s. So A is 1940s. B is 1950s. C is 1960s. D is 70s. E is 80s. F is 90s, and I think they've kind of dropped it, but I'm not sure when that happened. But through the 90s, they had F as the first casting number was 90s. Well, I guess I shouldn't say through. I have seen parts in the 90s that still carry that. I'm not sure if they are still doing it or not. I guess I haven't really looked at the newer stuff. But that's kind of a cool thing Ford did. So we've got a 69 water pump, a 70 or newer manifold, and then over here this is a D2, so that's a 72. Back on our intake manifold, C5, that's 65. That's probably original to the truck. The cylinder head is a C8 or 68, so it's got a newer head on that side. Where is it on this one? That one also appears to be a C8, so chances are at some point this engine had different heads put on, or we think it's a 352. Maybe they have a 390. I haven't found the block casting number yet, so we'll find that out when we get there. Again, thanks for watching. Hit the like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you later.